Let me start by telling you a little story of how this all started. Because as most of you know, success doesn't happen overnight. And we have a couple of students in Helsinki, and they were about to graduate in 2003. And they entered a competition for mobile games. It was actually a competition organized by Nokia. And they won that competition, and then they asked our mighty eagle, who unfortunately had to fly back tonight because he hadn't seen his family for 3 weeks. But he asked him, so what should we do now? And Peter, he basically advised them, why don't you guys start your own company? And that's what they did. Up to last year, the guys have basically worked on 51 games, mobile, and really they did a lot of work for publishers. So without getting much skill out of it, they learned their lessons of how the mobile platforms work, the ecosystem, and they did skill to a certain extent. They got a few years ago to like 50 people, and then they had to unfortunately scale down again. But the intent was always like, if there is time, maybe we can squeeze out a few hours of our employees and start working on something that we are very passionate about, and where we can really build a game and go direct to consumers. And that moment really arrived when obviously Apple in the US took out a lot of hurdles in both the distribution and in the production of just getting out there and scaling. So the idea started with just a few drawings. Ideas had come by, I mean, dozens and dozens of ideas. And then somehow a couple of drawings of Angry Birds just stuck. And this is, I'm talking now early 2009. The guys were just still cranking out games that had nothing to do with Angry Birds. But still optimizing that experience. The pigs were not there yet. That came later with the swine flu, and then they decided to add green pigs, and it was really about building a brand. It was really about building a story with characters. And then when the game started getting into shape, they showed it to family members, and you know, it's hard if you show it around in the office. Most people would like it anyway. But then one guy went to home for I think it was Christmas dinner or so, and he saw his mother just couldn't put the phone down, and he thought we really might be onto something. And so they launched in December of 2009. It was less than 18 months ago, and slow start, so no barely any dollars. Started out, and this was the road to success. They slowly built their momentum, not in the US. US came later, but market by market. Number one in Finland, number one in Sweden, more European and Asian countries, and then made their way to the US. And it took, I think, 4 to 5 months before we became number one in the App Store here. So it's, meanwhile, you know, the slingshot came in. It's really based on simplicity. But the story is really about how to build emotional attachment with your customers out there. And the appeal was to our surprise, was very global in nature. Latest I heard is we had 2 users in North Korea. But we've come a long way. So as I said today, we're at 140 million across multiple platforms and around 10 million active players per day. If you look at the key success factors over time, I mentioned a few already. One was the absolute focus on the brand, and also on the fan base. From day number one, and Peter, I'm sure, even on his way to the airport, is personally replying almost to every single tweet out there. And I can tell you, there's a lot of tweets today about Angry Birds. This is really about building that dialogue with your customer base wherever they are, and listening to them. We get a lot of input. I was was sitting here 2 days ago. I don't know who of you guys were at the I/O conference, but then we got a tweet, and somebody put up a picture of a little girl in the rainforest in Peru, probably 300 miles away from the nearest electricity outlet. She was playing Angry Birds. I mean, stuff like that is just now happening, and you come to the stage where we really have now hit a point of pop culture. I have to say though that you need to stay humble, and in a sense Finland is shielding the company, because that's where most of the employees still are. We still haven't opened an office here in the US, for example. We probably open an office in China before we'll open up one here, because the sheer size of the market and opportunities. And yeah, you go to Los Angeles right now, you get harassed by studio executives. It's pretty incredible, and it's really now about keeping that dialogue and still learning every day how we can improve on that. I mentioned the fans, the simplicity of the game. So we are appealing to both the folks that, hopefully some of you in this room who are really willing to go to finish the 3 stars per level, as well as I've seen them as young as 15 months play Angry Birds pretty decently. As there was an article in the New York Times 2 weeks ago where a guy had to lie to he was writing up a story about how he had to lie to his son that he took his son to bed, and then he said, "Dad, don't play Angry Birds tonight, don't break my racket." And he promised not to play. he broke his promise. So you have generational conflicts because of the game. The goals are really simple. So it's the moment, you probably won't believe it, the Finns are very down-to-earth people, and the moment we hit 100 million, which is not too long ago, and nobody would have thought we would have reached that, especially not a year ago. The moment we hit 100 million, yeah, sure, we corked a few bottles, drank a few glasses, but then, believe it or not, the guys went back to their desk and worked and just cranked on. The other pieces is, so goals, as I said, so yes, you want to build reach. Apple has done a great way in providing us that reach and taking away a lot of those hurdles. But it's not just mobile. We might have started in gaming. We might have started in mobile. But for the ones who were in the I/O conference, we've now gone to the web. We're on browsers. We're already on Mac and on PC. Going into consoles. So basically, anywhere we can get to get out there.